I have a confession, Ross.
Okay.
I know there are countless tools out there, and I know that there are like frameworks and worksheets and a ton of blog posts and guides on how to manage your schedule.
Hmm.
But I'm going to confess
Okay.
that my entire schedule and my entire week and all my tasks and everything I do is via my calendar, which is terrible.
That's amazing.
It's a terrible thing. So I block out time,
Yeah.
and that's basically my calendar is like my everything.
That's amazing.
And that's not, it's a terrible abuse of your calendar. That's terrible. It's, it's like me using my inbox as my personal reminder and like having everything in the unread so that I don't forget to do things. It's not the way you should be using it.
That's
But as I was planning out my week this week, I've had this conversation over and over again with the Shine crew, with many colleagues. Like,
Yeah.
how do you plan your week? How do you block out time? How do you decide what to do? And I thought this would be a wonderful conversation to have with you on the podcast to figure out what is the best way to manage your time,
Mm.
to schedule things, to keep yourself on task, and make sure that you're productive
Right.
at all times. So that was my confession. But
Yeah.
I'd love to hear from you, Ross, because pretty sure you're not messing up like me. What is your what is your like how do you schedule your week? How do you take like how do you look at it? Where do you like how do you approach it?
So this is going to be very anticlimactic for a lot of our listeners because I also have a confession to make, and that is
Oh
that the
no.
vast majority of my life lives and dies by my calendar. So
Oh my gosh.
my calendar is without question the way I manage all of my tasks. It's how I plan my weeks. It's how I plan my days. And unlike you, I think that's okay. I think living and dying by your calendar is completely okay. And let me give you a reason why. At the end of the day, we watch how we spend our money, we watch what we eat. When it comes to managing our time, we don't want to watch it. We have to watch it. And the only thing to use to watch our time is our calendar. Thus, I believe calendars are the MVP, most valuable player of
Oh my
productive
gosh.
entrepreneurs and business people. So
Okay.
I do
But
not, go ahead. I don't think
oh my gosh.
I'm all in on calendars. I think we're over tooled, we're over gizmoed, and calendars are great.
This is amazing. I was not expecting you to say this. Oh my gosh. Because so don't you find yourself like, let's say you schedule a day and we'll get into schedule because I was just saying to you, one of the things that I'm super interested in two other aspects of this.
Mm,
One is managing your time where you're spending on the business, like sales and marketing versus time spent on
right.
client work,
Yeah.
um, which I'm super interested in. And I'm also interested in, as a parent,
Mm,
how do you like what hours do you work, because I find that super interesting. But just to bring back the conversation to the calendar for a
love it.
second, don't you find that, let's say you block out like 3 hours to do work on, I don't know, a blog post
Yes.
or something, and then you get on a call and something happens, and then you just like, okay, I'm just going to shorten this, I'm just going to move this, and
Right.
then like
Right.
things just kind of get
Move
out of
around.
control, and like suddenly you don't really have control. Like, don't you have like an Asana
Mm,
or some, doesn't like your monthly schedule or goals or projects live somewhere so that you can say you don't move things too much into the, because that's where I fail. Like, yes, I can do that during the week as long as I try to keep everything in there.
yep.
But I have this blog post that I've been trying to edit for like 5 weeks now. I just keep moving it from week
That's
to
hilarious.
week.
That's funny.
So
So yeah, we definitely embrace Trello. So Trello allows us to look at
okay.
projects and ensure that projects are moving along in the right direction. But there's a direct relationship between anything in my calendar and the due dates on those Trello cards. So it would still have a very similar impact. I rarely spend a lot of time in the Trello card, and I just like will say, okay, I need to do X by this date. Thus, let me plan that in my calendar. So I'll plop in my calendar that I need to write this blog post on Monday for a delivery date on Friday, and I won't move it. I will say this is going to be in my calendar and it's going to happen.
Oh my
And if I
gosh.
don't do it, punish myself. And this might
What?
be, I know it's probably very not healthy and probably not a great relationship to have with yourself. But I will punish myself by saying, okay, Ross, if you are unable to get control of your calendar, that means you're not going to watch WandaVision on the weekend. Simple as that. It means you're not,
Blasphemy.
I
Sorry,
know, right?
excuse me.
I
That's
know. It
blasphemy.
means you're not going to
How?
watch any Netflix. You're not going to watch the game. So during football season, it means Sundays, I'm working. I'm not going to watch the game. I'm not going to be able to enjoy that. Thursday night football, going to have to skip it. And it's like that will hold me accountable to making those things happen. Or when I'm feeling really hard on myself, I will tell myself, okay, I guess you're working until 1 a.m. tonight because you didn't get
Oh
your
my
stuff
gosh.
together. And then it's just like, I can't work until 1 a.m. I shouldn't push myself to that because I will probably have to be up at 7 a.m. with the toddler. But I make my bed, I have to lay in it. So the key is to
Mm,
stick to my calendar so I don't put myself into difficult situations like that. Um,
yeah, I do the
having,
same.
yeah, so calendars, I still believe are super important. You just have to hold yourself accountable to sticking to it, or reap the reap the pain that might come.
Well,
Like tonight, I'm
so
going to have to work. Like I'm looking at my calendar now, and it's like every Tuesday I send an email to my newsletter. And I haven't written that email. I haven't planned that email. And I'm looking at my calendar.
mm,
There's no space for me to write that email. So I'm going to have to write that tonight at 10 p.m. And
oh
that
my
will
gosh.
go until 1, which isn't fun, but that's on me because I let my calendar get away from me. So
Hey,
that's
maybe it'll be about scheduling and calendar and the fact that you're writing it at 10 p.m.
true.
Um,
True.
I really hope that you've watched the last episode of WandaVision because
I
my
did.
mind is blown. But
It was
going
good.
back on topic, I have one thing that I have been using lately because I feel like my calendar isn't a good way to do it. Is I've actually started using Toggle
Oh, interesting.
to to monitor how long I spend on things, because what happens to me is I have a calendar and there is like a day full of work,
Yeah.
and I've noticed I can only put like two big projects on the calendar, and then the rest of it is just like admin stuff and putting other things in, like half an hour here, half an hour there.
Yeah.
But I jump,
Mm,
and those are the things that you don't kind of calculate. Like you're
true.
working on a blog post and then you get pinged on Slack and you're like, okay, I'll just
Tackle
answer
this
this
quickly.
person.
Yep.
Yeah. So I'm trying as much as I can to track it.
Mm,
And this kind of leads me to the next point, which is as a parent,
yeah.
and this is the best thing about being an entrepreneur, but also the worst thing
Right.
about being an entrepreneur,
Yep.
is that I get to set my own working hours.
Yep.
And ever since I have become a parent, I work really strange hours. So I start my day at 7 a.m.
Okay.
and then I'll log off at 1 p.m.
Right.
and I'll have an hour's break. And then I go and pick up my kids
Okay.
from daycare.
Mm,
And then I'll be with them till 7 p.m., put them to bed, and then I go back to work till
right.
like
Right.
10 p.m., a couple of
Yeah.
times a week.
Fair.
So I feel like I have to track stuff on Toggle
Mm,
so that I know what I'm spending time on. Because I know that the 7 to 10 p.m.
yeah.
is the time where I'm out on calls with clients and sales calls and students,
Yeah.
because everyone's in the US and I'm not.
Right. Yep.
So yeah, how about you? Have you changed anything in like your working hours or habits as a parent?
Definitely. Yeah. So pretty much I don't try to miss my lunch because working from home, my kids are home. I get to have lunch with them. So I don't have any wiggle room on that. So my lunch is in my calendar. The team doesn't schedule meetings around it. It happens. I've also started to run. So that has taken up about an hour of my day as well. So typically every day I'm trying to squeeze in an hour workout slash run. And that's usually anywhere from 10:30 or 11:30 in the day. So that's a big chunk of time that is gone in my day. So what I've done in exchange is said at 10 p.m. every day, I am going to plug back in and I will do work because between 7:15 and 9, it's bedtime and I'm always there for bedtime. So there's been some adjustments. And I would say I'm very gentle on myself, probably in comparison to most. If I'm finished something early and I have less time to do, I'm going downstairs and I'm going to have a quick tea party or something like that. Like it's not going to be a jump. Let's go do something right away. I'm probably downstairs having a quick chat with the little ones and playing or seeing how Chris is doing, all that stuff. So it's pretty flexible in terms of being fluid with my calendar in that regard. And then my weekends, which used to be massively productive, have gone away and do not
What's a
exist.
weekend?
Yeah, weekends are no longer as productive as they used to be at all. I tried in the early days. I was like, I can make this work. It doesn't work. It's not working. So the weekends are just a no-go at this point, it feels like.
Same. Yeah.
But yeah, I
So
think the one thing though that is different for me is I now have an assistant. So an assistant
yes.
has changed my management of tasks and to-dos consistently and significantly. So my assistant runs my inbox. They're in there. They see everything. They're making sure that I'm on top of emails. They filter out noise. They make sure that I don't see anything that I don't need to see or tackle problems that I don't need to tackle. And it allows me to really be laser focused on the big rocks that I need to move as the CEO. Similarly, with Trello, I haven't logged into Trello myself for a very long time because my assistant keeps on top of that. And when I need to work on something, they will put a block in my calendar that says, Ross, review this, or Ross, write this piece, or Ross, send 5 topics for podcast to Talia. Like they will write all of these things in my calendar and then I just go do them. So that has been, without question, a massive, massive improvement in my quality of being efficient. And I would say like the assistant definitely changed the game in that regard.
Yeah, I'm actually just in the midst of that too. So I onboarded someone last month.
Nice.
And I actually onboarded her for the program, for the training program that we're launching. Oh my gosh, in like a month.
Right.
Freaking out. But she is so good. She basically has mapped everything in Asana. I have no idea what's going on in there, but I know it looks really cool.
That's cool.
And she's basically pinging me daily with either Loom videos or in my calendar. Like,
amazing.
block this, do this, do that. And it's amazing. Or she'll reach out to me. She's like, it looks like you're moving things around. I'm going to reschedule the time for
That's hilarious. That's hilarious.
Just
awesome.
Basically, yeah, she knows what's happening.
That's amazing. Yeah, no, assistants help a lot. I think one of the biggest things that I have learned is like let them have complete access, control, and just like lay it all out there, all of your challenges, everything you need done, and they will assist. Like that's been my overarching take/hope. And it's worked out quite well. It's worked out quite well for sure.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I guess at the end of the day, it's not simple.
No.
Scheduling stuff. And especially as an entrepreneur or a founder, you have so much responsibility and so many people need you and so many clients need work and also marketing and sales. So do you have some sort of go-to plan or certain days that you take care of certain things, or how do you kind of?
I do. So when I look at my calendar for the month, I have 2 days that are dedicated to finances. So 2 days a month, I'm reviewing all invoices, reviewing all budgets, reviewing accounts payable, accounts receivable, overdue payments, all of those things. I have 2 days every month that are dedicated to the money side of things. Then I have every Wednesday blocked for what I call Wired In Wednesdays. And Wired In Wednesdays are the days where I'm dedicated to purely creation. So I'm writing essays, I'm recording YouTube videos, videos, I'm developing content, I'm scheduling tweets, I'm creating on Wednesdays. It's been interesting to watch. Like the team has started to also embrace this idea of Wired in Wednesdays, where they've started to kind of also just like dedicate their Wednesdays to creating and doing the work. And then there's no meetings on that day. So there's
Amazing.
no sales calls, no new biz. It's just purely creation days. So that's been super helpful. Like when I look at my calendar today, I'm going to be back to back meetings for the rest of this day. And tomorrow it's going to be like that in the morning. Thursday it's going to be like that. Friday it's going to be like that. So for the most part, it's a lot of calls, a lot of meetings, a lot of training, a lot of development, etc. But on my Wednesdays, I get to geek out and just create. What about you?
That's amazing.
How do you map out your weeks and days?
I try to dedicate specific days to my business growth. So I have one day a week, which is like pure marketing and just working on content creation for the business.
Yep.
And I have other times allocated like through the day, because my issue is the inbox that I use. I'm kind of trying to get out of that habit, but I use it as my task thing. So I'm kind of scheduling like 30 minutes, but only at the end of the day to review my inbox. So I have kind of like 1 or 2 days a week where I'm focusing on marketing and really kind of creating content and recording stuff. And I also have the rest of the time as client work or working with the team, tons of meetings.
Yep.
But I do tend to see that things blend in. So for now, as I was mentioning, like now that we're planning the course, then that has preference, obviously. So I'm recording a ton of content for the program because we're re-recording stuff and adding a ton of new content.
Yep.
And that kind of takes over a lot of the work. So I feel like every month is very different for me, but I do try to like say, this is client day, this is business day, this is that day. I try to keep it into blocks.
Right. That's fair. I think that's a good approach, like blocking it out. There was a great article written a few years ago by like I forget who wrote it, but it was managers versus makers schedule or calendar. Definitely recommend that people do a quick Google search and find it. It's an insightful one on how to manage your time and your calendar well. But I hope folks were able to find some value in this. Like this was a good one. If you are struggling with your calendar, get it in order. Don't forget to check out a tool like Toggle. It sounds like that's something that I'll take a peek at and see if it can play a role. And also like embrace getting assistance from someone else. If you are running 100 miles a minute and you need some support, there are a bunch of sites that offer VAs, virtual assistants that you can capitalize on and utilize to help tame your calendar and even tame your inbox. So with all that said, thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Talia, you can tell folks where they can find us and what else is going on.
Yeah. Join us on our Facebook group at facebook.com/action driven podcast. Took me a while to remember the name.
Okay.
And also you can visit us on our website. So if you are now listening to us on Spotify or on Apple, then maybe you don't know, but we are now doing video.
Yes.
So on our website, you can catch the video side of stuff. So you can see Ross and I chatting.
See you folks soon.